Good morning from back here. I'm just checking my camera's position. There we go. Looks like we're okay. Ooh, crossing over in front of you. How are we today? I'll just pop my clock handy so I don't lose track of time. Easily done when we're doing a yin practice, isn't it? So just start in a seated position. A couple of blocks if you've got them, or if not, grab a couple of blankets or cushions. I'm just going to come into just a seated position just to settle in. Not here for long, so the legs could be crossed or they could be up front. Just roll the shoulders back and down. Feel the crown of the head lifting, rising up as the sitting bones root down. Contain this core region of the body, so you feel as if you're knitting the front ribs back towards the spine, so we don't collapse or collapse forward. We're engaging the core. And just notice if when you do that you start to tense up the shoulders or clench the jaw. See if you can soften. The feeling is if somebody has come and put their hands onto your shoulder blades and is just gently pressing those forward. And keep those ribs back so we're not popping them forward again. And then just notice, we're going to work a lot on the neck and shoulders, upper back today. Just notice if there's anywhere that's really lighting up for you in around the neck or shoulders. See if you can check in and see if there's any tensing around the jaw muscles or the throat. We want to have the lips touching, but the teeth are apart, the upper and lower jaw, they're not clenched. Throat is heavy, just resting in the base of the mouth. Or if you really feel like you do grip the jaw, then you can pop the tip of the tongue just behind the two front teeth on the roof of the mouth. That will often give us a little bit more space in the jaw. Just connect into the breath. Follow the breath in and follow the breath out. Couple more breaths. Notice if you're starting to kind of feel yourself slumping down. See if you can engage a little more, lift a little taller. And as you lift up taller, check and just notice, do you pop the chin forward? See if you can lengthen through the back of the neck. The chin is about parallel with the floor and just tucking back slightly. Soften into the shoulders, seeing if we can just move around the body when we work one area and not engage other areas unnecessarily. We talk about that often in class, the principle of brahmacharya, not wasting energy. And then nice and slow, we're just going to make our way into a child's pose. So remember, in child's pose, if you're on a hard surface, you could put something in underneath your knees. If you've got any ankle issues, you could roll up your blanket or a prop or a towel and just pop it in underneath the ankles. And then we come down onto our forearms. I don't need that, I'll pop it off to the side. Just coming down onto the forearms. And we're going to cross our left arm in first and then our right arm. So it's called bow tie. I'm going to sit up and face you so you can see how that looks. So my arms are crossing in this direction. Left one under first, right one over. And then we start to lean into the arms. And if your head doesn't meet the floor, then you're going to want to put a block or a cushion in under the head. Can take a little bit of fiddling around to get it in the right spot, but once you get in there, just settle in. For those of us with a bigger chest or a bigger bust, this can feel a little compressing. So I would turn the block up a little higher if you're feeling like there's a lot of pressure into the front of the chest. But we are getting a bit of pressure in the front of the chest. We want to close the front body so we can send the breath into the shoulders, into the upper back. Nice big full breath. Send the breath right down into the belly and feel it rise up, right in through the heart space and under the armpits.
In this shape here, you might notice that your right shoulder blade pops a little further up. And if you can, have the palms facing up. You can also kind of bring the hands down a little lower so they're closer towards the knees, or you can move them a little higher so they're away from the knees. But see if you can just let the body sink into the arms. You get a nice big compression into the armpits, into that lymphatic region, into the breast tissue as well, which we've got lots of lymph. And again, we're looking for that tension and compression so that we can make a change to these tissues, either by wringing them out or lengthening them. Noticing for you, is there a difference between the amount of tension on one side of the body to the other? And if there is a niggle anywhere, maybe just imagining that you can send the breath in. So get a lot into the upper arm, to the armpit. Nice big opening into the rhomboid muscles, part of the shoulder blade musculature. Just adjusting as you need to. If you find there's more space opens up, you can shift your props, sink a little lower. Couple more breaths. And you might just want to start to turn your palms down a little, especially that left one, just to support you to lift up. And go slow. It can feel a bit awkward and a bit tender as we unravel. Just double check and make sure that you did have the left arm in first. And then we're just going to take a pause between sides and come into a Sphinx pose. So in Sphinx pose, we want the shoulders, the elbows a little further forward than the shoulders, just a smidge. Palms can face down or hands could be into that prayer position. We want to roll the shoulders back and down, and there's a little bit of effort just by gently pressing the forearms into the floor or the elbows into the floor, so we feel as if we lift up away from the floor a little. If you feel like there's a lot of pinch into the lower back, I want you to slide your forearms a little further forward so that the lower ribs rest onto the floor. And then we want the feeling as we gently press the forearms down that we're just with about 10% effort trying to pull the elbows back towards the hips, so we widen across the front of the chest. Kind of the opposite of what we were just doing when we were in our bow tie pose, that we were opening through the back of the shoulder blades and closing into the front of the chest. Now we're going the other way. And then you could let the chin drop down towards the chest. Give the head a little sway or a little nod. Don't let your shoulders collapse forward though. There is that effort here. So remember, we're learning to engage some areas and turn others off. Check that you're not gripping through the glutes or the quads. Really feel the pull of gravity taking over in the head and the neck. Come back to the breath now, noticing here how the breath is pressing the belly into the floor. And feel that breath push into the back body, into the lower back. Shoulders could be starting to fatigue a little here, so gently again keep pressing the forearms down, elbows down, and then a little tiny pull of the hands as if they're trying to come back to the hips. Building a little bit of strength, but allowing the spine to soften like a string of pearls from the base of the skull to the tail. Ever so slowly, start to widen the elbows out a little, cross the arms, and just make a little pillow for yourself, turning the head off to one side. Give the hips a little shimmy from side to side. The spine can feel a little fragile when we come out of a shape like that. When we're in our back bend, we're gently moving each of those spinous processes on the back body towards each other. They get a little bit of compression. Some compression is good, but too much is dangerous, so really being mindful not to overdo it. Everybody's bodies are different. What one body can do, another can't. Not necessarily for any other reason than our anatomy is different, our bone structure is different. Really soften into the shoulders. And then this is what we call the rebound, those pauses between poses where we really allow this information to absorb, signals back and forward from the body to the brain and the brain to the body. Telling the body what we need sent in, what needs to change, what we need less of or more of. Nice and slow. Just remember for a moment we're going to go from a back bend into a forward bend, so be really mindful of what's happening in the lower back here and in the spine. So just press yourself up onto your knees, into that tabletop position. Super slow. Toes touch. Send the hips back to the heels, and just take a pause here with the arms straight. Turn the biceps forward, slide the shoulders away from the ears. Check with the neck, see that everything's nice and loose. And we're going back to our bow tie, but this time we're going to cross the right arm in first, and then the left arm. So because you've done one side, you may be aware of what props we need, and you may be a little more open this side. Palms facing up if they can. For some of us, the hands might be closer to the knees. For some, the hands might be further away. So you just explore and find the best spot for you. I usually like to start with a block because it just gives me that little bit of space before I really sink in and settle in. Noticing what's going on in the shoulders. Notice how the breath is being pushed into the back body because of this compression in the front. And you can enhance that by deepening the breath, by inviting the breath to be a little longer and a little slower. And then if you notice space opening up, maybe you adjust your prop, nudge the block forward, and then let the body sink. You could turn the head to one side if that's better for you. The nice thing about our yin poses is that it doesn't matter how they look, it matters how they feel. Our target area is here, the upper arms, the chest, the upper back. And of course, for many of us, there could be a whole lot going on in through the hips, the shins, the ankles, the compression between the belly and the groins.
Anywhere that's feeling like there's a lot of sensation, invite it to soften, use the breath. Get a little more space, maybe you can slide the hands a little further away from each other just to add a little bit more. Soften through the jaw, the eyes. Check that the breath is moving all the way down into the belly, not just into the upper chest. Fill from bottom to top. And then really slowly start to make your way back out. I like to turn my right palm down and give the elbow a little bit of support to bring myself out. And it feels tender and uncomfortable, awkward. That's all good. And then come back into your Sphinx pose. Down onto the belly. Remember, the elbows are a little further forward of the shoulders. You gently roll them back and down, and there's that little press into the floor. Chin can drop down towards the chest. The glutes often want to grip on, so just see if you can soften the glutes, soften the quads. Give the head a little nod and a little shake. And just seeing if you can commit to stillness, only moving if you need to go deeper or if things get too much. Resisting the urge to fidget or to fluff or to change unless there's something that's just too much for you. Check in with the jaw. Notice the movement of the breath. Sending the breath in like a massage balm into anywhere that's a little niggly. You could widen the feet out if there's too much going on in the lower back too. That's an option I should have mentioned. Sometimes that just eases in through the lower back a little. Just an option here for those of you who maybe want to go a little bit deeper into a back bend is that we take the hands out a little wider. Sometimes I even like to hold on to the edge of my mat if you're using a mat, and then to lift the chest up away from the floor. Watch that you don't push the shoulders up around the ears. We turn the biceps forward and then slide the shoulders down the back. Notice my glutes have gripped on, so ungrip the glutes. And the chin could drop to the chest. If you feel like you've had enough of either Sphinx or Seal, you can come down and just cross the arms, come into that rebound. This is a much stronger version, and it's a lot more yang in the arms. It's not a particularly yin pose in the arms, but we want to make everything else yin. So soft spine, soft neck, soften the jaw. Nice and slow, make your way back down. If you're not already there, cross the arms. Turn the head to the other side if you can remember which way it was. Remembering that it can feel a little fragile going from this back bend into a forward bend, so slowly press yourself up. If it feels good to take a bit of movement along the way, just wag the tail. I'm going to set up for a puppy pose, or a variation of puppy pose. So you could use your blocks, or you could use blankets for those of you who haven't got blocks. So if you're using the blocks, we want the blocks end to end with a little space in between, this way with a space in between them for most of us will need, depending on the length of your upper arms. If you're not using the blocks, then roll your blanket or a towel up so you've got a little bit of height out in front of you. Two options here is, one is that we come back into our child's pose and come on down. We bring our forearms up over the block or the prop, and then let the chest sink down. The hands can come to prayer position. We can cross the arms so that the hands rest onto the back of the heart space. If you're using the blocks, often you just need a little bit of space between the blocks so that your head can drop towards the floor. If the blocks are together, we often find it a little harder. I'll turn in a minute. I want you to make sure that your elbows aren't flaring out wide. And for some of you, if it feels too much doing the two arms together, and it can for some people, just do one arm at a time. So that would kind of look like this. But I want you to watch, especially, or not especially, even if you're doing both arms together, I want you to make sure that you're not letting your elbows come out wide here. That's going to kind of create a compression. We're really looking for this shape. We do it in other styles of yoga where we bring the arm up over the head and come on down into the mid-shoulder area. So this is just giving you that nice length into the armpit, into the teres muscle, some of our rotator cuff muscles. Really nice big opening for the serratus muscle. It's another one that controls our shoulder blade. So one arm or two arms together, your choice. And we want the feeling that the chest is sinking towards the floor. Now I'm going to show you another option for those of you who have any knee or ankle issues and find sitting down onto the heels a lot, is that we can do that without sitting back. So same thing, elbows onto the prop, and then we just let the chest sink down. So you decide which is going to work for you. And also, if it feels too much having a block or anything in under the arms, you can lose that, but you often find that you can't let the chest sink so far. And for those of you, who find it pretty comfortable, you can turn your blocks up higher. Okay, so figure out which is working for you, both arms, one arm. If you've been in that position for a while, because I have talked a fair bit there, then maybe switch arms. If you've got both together, and see if you can just stay with it. And just notice the shape of the breath. How is the breath moving when you're in this position? It will be different depending on whether you're sitting back on the heels or whether the heels are up over the knees or the hips are over the knees. If you're getting any pinch up into the shoulders, you can just let the arms drape over the blocks with the arms straight. If you've just done one side, switch to the other if you haven't already. You want to feel as if the space between the shoulder blades, that part of the spine just behind the heart, is sinking down towards the floor. This pose, we call it puppy pose, or a variation of puppy pose, is also known as anahatasana, heart opening pose. A few more breaths here. And when we do bring the hands back overhead, I want you to be careful, move slow. There can be a point where things can feel a little sticky. Straighten the arms out and turn the fingertips down. Start to lift yourself up.
And just sit back on the heels if that's okay for you for a moment. We'll lift up onto the knees. Just roll the shoulders back and down. Find that position that we're in the beginning where we were lifting the lower ribs up away from the hips, knit the ribs back towards the spine. Roll the shoulders back and down, crown of the head reaching up. And then soften the shoulders. Check that you're not tensing or gripping the eyes, the jaw, the throat. And then on the next inhale, just inhale and lift the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, roll them down and back. Inhale up towards the ears. Exhale down. One more. Inhale, squeeze them up. Exhale down. And then just clear your props off so that they're not going to be on either side of you and in the way of the arms. Pop that all the way up there. Make your way back down onto your belly. Ooh. We're going to reach our right arm out in line with the shoulder, palm facing down, and just pause here and notice if you feel like there's any pull into the front of the chest. We're going to move into the pec muscles, into the front of the chest. From here I'm going to get you to turn your head towards the left, and then your left hand is going to come onto the floor just in front or under that left shoulder, and you're going to start to roll yourself over towards the right. Now again, sometimes anatomy on the front body can get in the way and you need to just kind of figure that out, just shift it a little towards the left, and then start to roll over onto your side or thereabouts. Some of you might be able to bring both knees to stack in front of you. Some of you might find that you feel better with one leg straight. Some of you might only get a little further and you might not get too far. You might only get a few inches away, depending on what's happening in the front of your chest. And then soften. No hurry here. I want you to be really careful when we stretch into the top of the arm and the pec muscles. These can get so tight.
Now if you have found your way onto your side body and you're feeling like you're okay there, you could bring that left arm back behind you and let it drag back behind you. You could also just rest it onto the thigh, or for some of you just leaving it on the floor in front of you is a better option. So you decide what's the right position for you. The pec muscles get really tight in today's world with us being on the computer a lot and texting and kind of leaning forward a lot, closing off the front of the chest. So this pose just really helps to start to open that up. Now some of you may be even more open and find that you can start to bring the sole of the left foot towards the floor and that knee lifting up, which is going to create more tension into that front of the right arm and into the front of the chest. So please don't force this. Be really careful here. Just decide what's the right place. Remember, in our yin practice, we're looking for about 60% of what we could do if we were to push or force, and then we wait. We wait until space opens up, until the body invites us in, and then maybe we go a little further. We can't get into our yin tissue, our ligaments, our tendons, our fascia, if our muscles are gripping and tight. So see if you can release and soften a little more. Sorry, I should have said too, you could use your left hand, could be a pillow for under your right side of your temple, or you could have a block in underneath the head. Soften the jaw, the eyes, the throat. Follow the breath in, follow the breath out. Anytime the mind starts to wander off, just notice where you're wandering to, and then see if you can come on back to breath, come back to sensation, even maybe come back to sound. It could be the sound of your breath or a sound around you. A couple more breaths. Keep that right arm exactly as it is. Be really careful with the right arm. I want you just to start to straighten the legs out so you can come back onto your belly. You're going to turn the head back towards the right side. Keep that arm where it is. Bring your left hand back alongside the body, palm facing up, and then being really slow. We often try and pull out of this pose too quickly. We're going to turn the right palm to face up as well and let that shoulder just slump forward. Now we're releasing that length on the front body that we've just been putting there and letting it release. Take a few breaths here. And then we're going to reach the left hand out in line with the shoulder. Remember, both sides could be totally different, so just don't rush into the position. Really feel what's going on. Bring that right palm to the floor. Need to adjust anything on the front body, go for it. And then slowly start to roll over onto the side. You can draw the knees in towards the chest if that's where you are. You can keep that top leg straight. And then just take a few breaths here. Soften into that left side. That right hand could be your pillow. or a block or a blanket in under the head. You want the head to feel supported either on the floor or something. And then if you feel like there's space, you can keep rolling over onto the side. You want to keep the palm down. Maybe you bring that right hand alongside the body. Maybe you turn the palm to face back and you let that arm drape. Could be a little more open this side because we have already opened into the front of the chest. Maybe you've got the option of bringing that right foot to the floor behind you. You can take the right leg back a little. Again, being really mindful, choosing why you're taking a position, knowing what you're doing. What is it that you're adding? What is it you're taking away? Can you still remain soft and calm? Is the breath still flowing freely? Breath is a really good indication of whether or not you're overdoing it in a pose, if you're holding the breath or tensing or gripping. Check that you're not gripping the hip that you're lying onto. Noticing the parts of the tissues that seem to expand or go a little deeper as you breathe in. And then notice the parts of the body that sink and drop a little heavier as you breathe out. And slowly just start to back out little by little. The hand is tucked back behind you, let it just rest onto the outer thigh. Let the hand come back down onto the floor just to support you as you roll out. Oh dear, I really am engaging my parasympathetic nervous system here. I'm going into that rest and repair mode. Just let that right hand now come back behind you, palm facing up. Ever so slowly, being really careful, start to bend that left elbow. Bring the hand to the floor. You're going to slowly turn your head back towards that left side. And then let that left hand come back alongside too. Allowing yourself to completely soften. Feeling that compression that we're getting between the floor and the chest and the belly. Noticing how that moves the breath. And then gently bring the hands in under the shoulders. Pull the head back down to the floor. Just give the head a little rock from side to side. And then press on up into a tabletop position. Hands in under the shoulders, knees in under the hips. Spread the palms nice and wide. Bend into the elbows and then wrap the biceps forward. So the elbows could stay a little bent or you straighten the arms. Take a few rounds of cat-cow. So let the sitting bones lift first, then the belly drop, then look forward, and then feel as if you're trying to gently pull the shoulders back towards the hips. And then exhale, Chin towards the chest, upper back pressing towards the ceiling, round through the spine, tuck the tail. Inhale, looking forward.
Exhale, we round. Up and more. Nice full big inhale to take you into this belly dropping back bend. And then a full exhale to take you into that
Halloween flexion shape. Halloween cat. And come on back to neutral. Just sit back on the heels again. Open and close the palms. The hands a little shake. And just do a little bit of work into the forearms. So come back to your tabletop position. You're going to turn the fingertips so that they point out towards the edges of the mat. Spread the palms nice and wide. And just have the hands a little wider, so about mat width. And then you're just going to rock from side to side. Now if this feels pretty comfortable in your wrists and forearms, and you feel like there's a little more space, or you could take it a little further, you're just going to bring your hands a little closer towards each other. I'm just going to turn and face you so you can see the distance. So we've started off here. We're just going to move in so that the hands are about and under the shoulders. Same thing, we just rock from side to side, getting into the forearms, side to side. And then if there's a little more space, you can bring the hands a little closer. I'm going to keep the palms connected to the floor, hands spread wide. And then we're going to walk the hands back so that they're back about shoulder width. And then turn the left palm forward. Maybe you stay here with the right hand. Maybe you're able to keep turning that back so the fingertips point towards you. So any amount, doesn't matter where you get to. And then I want you to start to feel as if, I want you to make sure that you're keeping lots of support in this left arm. It's become our foundation, so it's quite yang. We're not in a yin position in that left arm. Spread the hand nice and wide, spin the bicep forward, press the hand into the mat, slide that left shoulder away from the ear so that we're not really loading much weight onto that right wrist. And then you're going to make some circles. Keep that strong foundation in your left arm. Change the direction. And then whichever way your right fingertips are pointing towards, I want you to lean in that direction. So if they're pointing more towards kind of a diagonal towards the side of the mat, you're going to lean over that way. If they're pointing back towards you a little further, you're going to lean the hips back towards the heels a little further. So we get a really big deep forearm stretch here. Check the breath, check the jaw, make sure you're not gripping or holding. And remember that left hand is really vital to keep us safe. So spread the palm, press into the mat. Peel the fingertips up off the floor, open and close the hand. I should have perhaps said this in the beginning for those of you who find loading weight onto your wrist too much. This is an option here for you as well to get into that nice big deep wrist stretch without loading weight onto it. So if you find this too much, then just put your thumb in behind onto the back of the palm and then gently pull the fingers or the palm towards you. Okay, so that's an option. So again, bring the hands in under the shoulders, spread the palms nice and wide. Now our right hand is becoming our foundation arm, so we spin that bicep forward, press the hand into the mat. We want to make sure that the inner hand is really plugging down into the floor, so we're not dumping weight into this ulnar side of the wrist. And then turn the left fingertips out towards the side of the mat. Maybe that's where you stay, or maybe you can keep dialing them round. So find what works for you.
strong through that right arm, and then find those little circles. If this is too much for you, remember you can sit back on the heels and just stretch the inner forearm and the wrist without weight bearing. Take those circles the other direction. And then just start to lean in the direction of the left fingertips. Keep pressing that right hand down into the mat to support you so that we don't just kind of collapse down into the left wrist. And then again, you want to really plug that right hand into the mat, because that's going to be what's going to be it's going to be the hand that's on the mat in a minute. So lift up and away, peel those left fingertips up off the floor. Just sit back onto your heels again. And from here we're going to bring the backs of the hands together. Let the elbows feel nice and heavy, soften through the shoulders. We'll just do a little bit of brain gym here. Turn the fingertips towards you, and then they start to turn up. And then the pinky sides touch, then prayer hands, then the thumbs, going round in this circular movement. If you think about it too much, sometimes we get lost. So and then I want you to feel this movement into the wrists, into the elbows, into the shoulders. Let it be really fluid. And then without thinking too much, maybe you close the eyes, just turn it the other way around. Next time the backs of the hands are together, let the elbows feel soft and heavy, and it's a little movement. It's really more that the weight of the elbows are dropping down, which is compressing and opening the back of the wrists and compressing into that inner hand, but not too much. Don't push. Just let the elbows feel heavy, shoulders heavy. Nice, and then release the hands, open and close. Couple of options again here with our final pose, which is known as supported fish. So we've got the option of using our 2 blocks. This bottom block, I generally always think to keep it on the lower setting. Where that one will end up is it's going to end up in between the shoulder blades, so we don't get it up here into the neck, and it's not down here into the lower back. Just into that thoracic spine region between the shoulder blades, long ways. And the second block, we can have it on the medium setting or the high setting. If you haven't got blocks, then no worries. We've got you covered. So you'd want to get your towel and just roll it up so that you've got a little bit of support. And this one, the position would be slightly different than the block. So that would come down across the ribs underneath the shoulder blades. I'll show you that position, and then you would want to block a prop for under your head as well. So I'll show you this one first. And actually, for those of you who have got blocks and would like to take this one, of course that's an option as well. So when I'm in this position, my shoulder blades are floating completely free. I can turn my palms to face up, elbows are slightly bent, almost so that my thumb and index finger side are down on the floor. So I'm really getting this nice broadening across the front of the chest. You can bring the knees together and the feet apart. And then you want to feel as if you're moulding yourself around the shape of that block or the towel. And I'll just show you the position for those of you using the blocks. So remember, that's your runways, the long ways. So we come down onto the forearms. And then deciding what height we need for the block under the head. What we don't want to see is that the chin is lifted up and the back of the neck is shortening. So you could also have that block fairly high so that the chin is
dropping towards the chest. If you feel like you carry a lot of tension or you get that kind of text neck, then sometimes having that block higher gives you a nice sense of tractioning into the back of the neck. But it could also be a little lower. And you'd have your palms facing down. Block is not quite right. And we do, when we're using props like this, we really do want to kind of fluff around for a bit and get the position right. We're here for a bit of time. I always like to press into my feet and to drag my tailbone down towards the back of the knees, draw the pubic bone to the navel, so that when I come down, I've kept a nice long lower back. And then taking the knees together and the feet apart is going to give you some space in the SI joints, which border the sacrum. So you can just allow yourself to soften into this shape here, either over the towel, blankets, or over your blocks. See if you can completely soften the front of the arms. We've opened those areas up into the front of the chest in our earlier poses. Feel the weight of the head supported by the block or the cushion. Let go of any tensing or holding in the arms. Soften the jaw, the eyes, all the muscles of the face melting away. Notice that support of the block behind you and how it's giving your spine a little bit of a back bend or a little bit of a lift. You often get really rounded through the upper back. So notice even as you breathe in, how the support that's under the body moves the breath. And imagine that you're also breathing into that, reminding yourself that we're more than just one dimension. As we breathe in, our torso expands in all directions, front to back, left to right, top to bottom. So feel that block or roll underneath the back and feel yourself breathe into that. And so if you can release the muscles of the throat and the neck, letting the head feel nice and heavy. Now, if you've got time and you wanted to stay in this shape for a little longer, it could feel really great. If this is the end of time for you, then just walk the feet back towards each other. If you're just laying over your roll, then it's probably a little easier to roll off to one side. But if you've got the blocks in underneath, then you probably need to walk the feet back towards each other, press into the feet and just slide the hips a little off to one side. And I want you to be careful of the neck when we shift from here. So draw the chin towards the chest and then use the arm of the side you're rolling over towards to support you, so that you can just come down onto a side.
you're joining me. I'm coming to close. Just crossing the legs or reaching the legs out in front. Find that nice long spine again. Take any support under the hips. And just take a few breaths here to notice. Often after a practice where we've released through the neck and shoulders, there can be a sense of calm, a sense of ease. For many of us, all of this upper body area is where we carry a lot of tension, we carry the weight of the world. So notice if by opening those tissues, it brings you any peace. And then connecting the palms in front of the heart. Grow a little taller. And then just bowing down to yourselves and to each other, knowing that somewhere in the world, at the very same time, others are practicing. This lovely collective yoga community. Even when we're not practicing together, that we are practicing with others. And namaste. Enjoy whatever's next in your day.